শুভ অপরাহ্ন। আসসালামু আলাইকুম। মুজিব বর্ষের অঙ্গীকার, কৃষি হবে দুর্বার। সুধীমণ্ডলী, সর্বকালের সর্বশ্রেষ্ঠ বাঙালি, বাংলাদেশের মহান স্থপতি, জাতির পিতা বঙ্গবন্ধু শেখ মুজিবুর রহমানের জন্মশতবার্ষিকীর শুভেচ্ছা জানিয়ে সভাপতি মহোদয়ের অনুমতিক্রমে শুরু করছি বিশ্ব খাদ্য দিবস উপলক্ষে কৃষি মন্ত্রণালয় ও জাতিসংঘের খাদ্য ও কৃষি সংস্থা বাংলাদেশ আয়োজিত আন্তর্জাতিক সেমিনারের কারিগরি সেশন। সুধীমণ্ডলী, সবাইকে নিয়ে একসাথে বিকশিত হন, শরীরের যত্ন নিন, সুস্থ থাকুন। আমাদের কর্মই আমাদের ভবিষ্যৎ। এই প্রতিপাদ্য নিয়ে বহির্বিশ্বের 40টি দেশের প্রতিনিধিদের সংযুক্তিতে আজ সকালে এই আন্তর্জাতিক সেমিনারের শুভ উদ্বোধন ঘোষণা করেছেন গণপ্রজাতন্ত্রী বাংলাদেশ সরকারের মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী জননেত্রী শেখ হাসিনা। আমরা একটু পরেই শুরু করতে যাচ্ছি কারিগরি সেশন। কারিগরি সেশনে প্রধান অতিথির আসন অলংকৃত করবেন গণপ্রজাতন্ত্রী বাংলাদেশ সরকারের মাননীয় কৃষিমন্ত্রী ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আব্দুর রাজ্জাক এমপি। বিশেষ অতিথি হিসেবে আমাদের মাঝে উপস্থিত আছেন সদ্য বিদায়ী কৃষি সচিব জনাব মোহাম্মদ নাসিরুজ্জামান এবং ডক্টর মুসাম্মদ নাজমানারা খানম, সচিব, খাদ্য মন্ত্রণালয়। ধারণকৃত মূল প্রবন্ধ উপস্থাপন করবেন ডক্টর BD-2, সিনিয়র ইকোনমিস্ট, এগ্রিকালচারাল ডেভেলপমেন্ট ইকোনমিক্স ডিভিশন, FAO। মূল প্রবন্ধের উপর আলোচনা করবেন ডক্টর আব্দুস সাত্তার মণ্ডল, এমিরেটাস প্রফেসর ও সাবেক উপাচার্য, বাংলাদেশ কৃষি বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়, ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আব্দুল মুঈদ, মহাপরিচালক, কৃষি সম্প্রসারণ অধিদপ্তর, ডক্টর নথুরাম সরকার, মহাপরিচালক, বাংলাদেশ প্রাণী সম্পদ গবেষণা ইনস্টিটিউট, এবং ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আব্দুর রাজ্জাক, সাবেক নির্বাহী চেয়ারম্যান, বাংলাদেশ কৃষি গবেষণা কাউন্সিল। সম্মানিত অতিথি হিসাবে আমরা বক্তব্য শুনব ডক্টর ম্যাথু মরেল, মহাপরিচালক ইরির, মিস্টার রবার্ট ডি সিম্পসন, FAO রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ ইন বাংলাদেশ, এবং মিস্টার রিচার্ড রেগান, কান্ট্রি রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ, WFP। স্বাগত বক্তব্য রাখবেন ডক্টর শেখ মোহাম্মদ বখতিয়ার, নির্বাহী চেয়ারম্যান, বাংলাদেশ কৃষি গবেষণা কাউন্সিল। কারিগরি সেশনে সভাপতির আসন অলংকৃত করবেন জনাব মোহাম্মদ মেজবাহুল ইসলাম, সচিব, কৃষি মন্ত্রণালয়। আমি সবাইকে অনুগ্রহ করে মঞ্চে আসন গ্রহণ করবার জন্য বিনীত অনুরোধ করছি।
Commitment in Mujibiyar, overwhelming glory in agriculture. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon and warm welcome to all of you on behalf of Ministry of Agriculture and Food and Agriculture Organization, Bangladesh, to this technical session of the international seminar commemorating the birth centenary of the great leader of the soil, the best son of the 1,000 years history, father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. With the theme of grow, nourish, sustain together, our actions are our future, on the World Food Day 2020. This morning, our Honorable Prime Minister, People's Republic of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, inaugurated this very special program. And this year, World Food Day added value to the celebration made with the virtual representation of the leaders around the globe, including 46 countries. Distinguished guests, today we are very honored to have with us here this afternoon Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Mohammad Abdul Razzaq, MP, Honorable Minister of Agriculture, the People's Republic of Bangladesh. Respected special guest, very recently retired Secretary, Mr. Nasiruzzaman, Minister of Agriculture, and Dr. Mohammad Nazman Ara Khanum, Secretary, Minister of Food. And this meeting is graced by the presence of our guest of honor, Dr. Robert Simpson, Food and Agriculture Organization, representative in Bangladesh. Dr. Matthew Morel, Director General, ERI, and Mr. Richard Dragon, Country Representative, World Food Program, will be connected through Zoom platform. And our keynote speaker, Dr. BD-2, Senior Economist, Agriculture Development Economics Division, Food and Agriculture Organization, and he will present his paper through Zoom platform. Here also present for discussion, Dr. M. A. Sattar Mondol, Emeritus Professor and former Vice Chancellor, Bangladesh Agriculture University, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Muhid, Director General, Department of Agriculture Extension, Dr. Nathuram Sarkar, Director General, Livestock Research Institute, and Dr. Muhammad Abdul Razak, former Executive Chairman, Bangladesh Agriculture Research Council. And here also present Dr. Sheikh Muhammad Bokhtiar, Executive Chairman, Bangladesh Agriculture Research Council, and also he is the seminar convener of World Food Day 2020. And today's session will be chaired by Mr. Misbahul Islam, Honorable Secretary, Minister of Agriculture.
সুধীমণ্ডলী, অনুষ্ঠানের শুরুতেই বিনীত অনুরোধ করছি স্বাগত বক্তব্য রাখবার জন্য। স্বাগত বক্তব্য রাখবেন ডক্টর শেখ মোহাম্মদ বখতিয়ার, নির্বাহী চেয়ারম্যান, বাংলাদেশ কৃষি গবেষণা কাউন্সিল।
Now I am requesting Dr. Sheikh Muhammad Bokhtiar, Executive Chairman, Bangladesh Agriculture Research Council and the Seminar Convener of World Food Day 2020 for his welcome address.
Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Razak MP, Minister of Agriculture, our special guest, Dr. Muhammad Najmun Ara Khatun, Secretary, Ministry of Food, another special guest, Muhammad Nasiruজ্জামান, Ex-Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Chair of today's technical session, Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Misbahul Islam, and our the invited guest, Mr. Richard Dragon, Country Representative, WFE, another invited guest, Dr. Matthew Morel, Director General, ERI, and we have discussant Dr. Abdul Sattar Mondol, Emeritus Professor and Ex-Vice Chancellor, Bangladesh Agriculture University, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Muhid, Director General, Department of Extension, Dr. Nathuram, Director General of BLRI, also presented here as a discussion Dr. Muhammad Abdul Razak, Ex-Executive Chairman, Bangladesh Research Council, and also our A4 representative Bangladesh, Mr. Robert D. Simpson, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon and welcome you all to today's international seminar. Dear colleague, every year Bangladesh is celebrating the World Food Day in a befitting manner, and this year we feel proud that this World Food Day 2020, coinciding with Mujib 100, the birth centenary of the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Let me offer my heartfelt regards and deepest respect to the father of the nation and the greatest Bengali for all time, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Dear colleague, Bangladesh, if you look the development trajectory of agriculture in Bangladesh, is really very appreciable. And last 10 years, we had a very significant achievement, especially in agriculture, crop including livestock. And this achievement, indeed, is a visible, very much visible, appreciable, and recognized by international media. And today morning, our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Abdul Razzaq MP, he already mentioned that recently Bangladesh graduated, especially in rice production, third declared by USDA. And also in COVID-19 pandemic situation, Bangladesh ranked second position in culture fish. And we are already self-sufficient in rice. We are self-sufficient in egg and meat also. So it's a very historical and fascinating history of Bangladesh. And our father of the nation, soon after independence, he made a remarks, that bread and rice can fill your stomach, but we need to ensure nutritional food for intelligent nations. And there is a proverb in China, if you want 1 year prosperity, you grow grain. If you want 10-year prosperity, you grow trees. If you need 100 years prosperity, you need intelligent nations. And that's why the today's theme of All Food Day is very timely and very important theme. And Bangladesh is celebrating different way. And today morning, our Honorable Prime Minister, he made a very remarkable speech and he highlighted the importance of agriculture. And only highlighted the today's agriculture achievement due to the scientific transformation and indeed the policy recommended by our blessed Prime Minister. That's how Bangladesh is such a condition we are able to feed all the nations. But nutrition security, it's another challenge for us. Though we have a lot of achievement, but still the issues and challenges in water and food energy nexus. All of you know the burgeoning growth of population. That is one of the major challenge for the Bangladeshi government, how to feed such escalating people. In addition, declining per capita land, deterioration in soil fertility, in addition the sensitivity of climate change and groundwater use, in addition the lack of agro-processing, and also the cost of production is high. That is the major challenge for the Bangladeshi scientists. And accordingly, Bangladesh made a significant achievement, and already government provided a lot of policies that are really important to meet up the challenges. So I hope our Honorable Minister, we have a keynote speaker, Dr. BD-2, lot of discussion we have. They will definitely give guideline today's how we can achieve the nutritional security. So once again, I thanks our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Abdul Razzaq, for kindly being with us as a Chief Guest, and the whole day he is with us. Thank you, sir, for your kind presence. Definitely your presence are very much encourages to us. I greatly acknowledge our ex-secretary, Nasiruজ্জামান. Actually, we had a long experience, all of us, because we worked for more than 8 years. And I am really very much emotional how our Honorable Agriculture Minister, in presence of Prime Minister, he acknowledged the contribution of the Secretary. Thank you, sir, for your very remarkable speech. And that's actually the right way of the policy maker to acknowledge the scientists so that they can encourage, they can devote more in their own field. Once again, I thanks our today's special guest, Dr. Najmun Ara Khatun, for his kind presence, and I also thanks today's chair, our newly posted Secretary, Misbahul Islam, for your kind time to be officiate this program as a chair of this technical session. I thanks the Ministry of Agriculture, especially Hasanuzzaman Kollol, his group, Dr. Bakhtiar from BRC, the FO personnel, Nur Muhammad Khandokar and other colleagues for their untiring support to make this program successful. And finally, I believe the scientists, those are attending today's meeting, you are quite able to formulate a truly stakeholder recommendation that will present to other government. And finally, I want to say, if agriculture goes wrong, nothing will have a chance to go right in the country. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
এ পর্যায়ে রয়েছে ভিডিও চিত্র প্রদর্শনী।
Ladies and gentlemen, now video presentation on World Food Day.
আমাদের কৃষি চলমান কৃষি বিজ্ঞানের এক আধুনিক রূপ। জলবায়ু পরিবর্তনের বিরূপ প্রভাবের সাথে খাপ খাইয়ে আমরা যখন আরোহণ করে চলেছি উন্নয়নের উচ্চতায়, তখনই এক ভয়ঙ্কর বৈশ্বিক মহামারী করোনার মুখোমুখি। এরপরও থেমে নেই আমরা। যন্ত্রের শক্তি, প্রযুক্তির যথাযথ প্রয়োগ, নতুন উদ্ভাবন, কৃষকদের উদ্দীপ্ত করার জন্য মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রীর নির্দেশনায় প্রণোদনা প্রদান, পুষ্টি বাগান সহ বহুমুখী কার্যক্রম চলমান রয়েছে। ফলে ফসলে, মৎস্য চাষে, আহরণে, প্রাণী সম্পদ পালনে, উন্নয়নে, গবেষণায় আর বিপণনের আধুনিকতায় আমাদের সুনাম এখন বিশ্বময়। নিরাপদ, নির্ভরযোগ্য, নান্দনিক কৃষির মহীয়সী রূপ এখন এই বাংলায় দেখা যায়। আমাদের খাদ্য নিরাপত্তা এবং নিরাপদ খাদ্য নিশ্চিতের বিষয়টি এখন বড় চ্যালেঞ্জ হিসেবে দেখা দিয়েছে।
আমাদের খাদ্যের কোনো অভাব নাই, আমাদের কাছে যথেষ্ট খাদ্য সামগ্রী রয়ে গেছে, সেটা আমরা দিতে পারবো। আর সেই সাথে সাথে ফসল উৎপাদনও করতে হবে, যে আমাদের খাদ্য উৎপাদন যেন অব্যাহত থাকে। এর বিষয়ে সকলকে নজর রাখতে হবে যে কারো 1 ইঞ্চি জমি যেন অনাবাদি না থাকে, কোনো জলাশয় যেন পড়ে না থাকে।
মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী জননেত্রী শেখ হাসিনার এই একটি নির্দেশনায় কি দারুণ ঝাঁপিয়ে পড়ার প্রত্যয় দেখেছি কৃষকের চোখে। যেমনটি দেখেছিলাম জাতির পিতার বজ্র কণ্ঠে উচ্চারিত ধ্বনির সাথে বাঙালি জাতির ঝাঁপিয়ে পড়ার দীপ্ত শপথ। তাঁরই স্বপ্ন পূরণের অঙ্গীকার আজও ঝিলিকি দেয় বাংলার মেহনতি মানুষের চোখে মুখে। কৃষিজীবী, সম্প্রসারণবিদ, কৃষি বিজ্ঞানী সহ সাধারণ মানুষ কারো কর্মকাণ্ড থামাতে পারেনি করোনা নামের এই জীবাণু। সামাজিক দূরত্ব বজায় রেখে, মুখ আবরণে ঢেকে, নিরাপদ বলয় বেষ্টনীতে সকল কর্মযজ্ঞ চলমান রয়েছে এই বাংলায়। বড় মৌসুম, মাঠের ফসলে সোনালি রং ধারণ করে ঠাঁই দাঁড়িয়ে আছে বিস্তৃত দিগন্ত জুড়ে। করোনার মহাসংকট, ফসল কাটার যুদ্ধে ছাত্র জনতা কৃষকের পাশে দাঁড়িয়েছে। যুদ্ধে ছাত্র জনতা বরাবরই সামনের কাতারে থেকেছে সবসময়। তাদের সাথে একাকার হয়ে ঝাঁপিয়ে পড়েছে বর্তমান আওয়ামী লীগ সরকারের অঙ্গ সংগঠন সমূহের নেতাকর্মীরা। কৃষি মন্ত্রণালয়ের কিছু যুগান্তকারী পদক্ষেপে শত শত রিপার কম্বাইন হারভেস্টার তাদের প্রযুক্তির শক্তিতে কৃষকের সোনালী শস্য নিরাপদে ঘরে তুলে দিয়েছে বিনামূল্যে। মাননীয় কৃষিমন্ত্রীর বিরামহীন পদচারণায় বাংলার কৃষক করোনা সংকটে ক্ষতির মুখে পড়েনি আজও। সুস্থ থাকার মূল মন্ত্র শরীরের যত্ন নেয়া, পুষ্টিকর খাদ্য নিশ্চিত করা। নিরাপদ থাকা কর্মে বিশ্রামে। মহামারীর মহাসংকটে পৃথিবীর সকল মানুষ আজ এক কাতারে দাঁড়িয়েছে। মারণাস্ত্রের মহড়া নেই আজ কোনোখানে। কর্মময় সুস্থ জীবনের প্রত্যাশায় পৃথিবীর সকল জাতি আজ একে অপরের দায়িত্বশীল নিকটবর্ষী। সবাই একসাথে বাঁচতে চায় রচিতে জীবনের অর্থবহ অধ্যায়। এক মানবিক পৃথিবী যেন আমাদের ডেকে বলে, এসো সবাইকে নিয়ে একসাথে বিকশিত হই, শরীরের যত্ন নেই, সুস্থ থাকি। আমাদের কর্মই আমাদের ভবিষ্যৎ। ক্ষুধা, অপুষ্টি, দারিদ্র্য আর করোনামুক্ত পৃথিবী গড়ার অঙ্গীকার আজ আমাদের সবার।
সুধীমণ্ডলী, জুম প্ল্যাটফর্মে আজকের এই আয়োজনে যুক্ত আছেন এশিয়া প্যাসিফিক অঞ্চলের FAO সদস্যভুক্ত 46টি দেশের 250 জনেরও বেশি প্রতিনিধি। এ পর্যায়ে জুম প্ল্যাটফর্মে যুক্ত থেকে মূল প্রবন্ধ উপস্থাপন করবেন ডক্টর ডেভিড ডো, সিনিয়র ইকোনমিস্ট, এগ্রিকালচারাল ডেভেলপমেন্ট ইকোনমিক্স ডিভিশন, এশিয়া প্যাসিফিক রিজিয়ন, FAO.
Distinguished guests, we are very delighted with the virtual representation of the leaders around the globe, including 46 countries. Now, keynote speech will be delivered by Dr. David Doe, Senior Economist, Agricultural Development Economics Division, Food and Agriculture Organization, through Zoom platform. I would like to request respected keynote speaker, Dr. David Doe.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone from Bangkok, Thailand. It's a tremendous honor to deliver a keynote presentation to all of you today. It's particularly an honor to have the opportunity to do so in the Mujib year on the occasion of the centennial of the birth of the founding father of the nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. I sincerely thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to pay respect and tribute to the father of the nation on this occasion today. I'm going to speak about the impact of COVID-19 on Asian food systems and agricultural transformation. Now, the first main effect of the pandemic that we're all facing, other than the tragic loss of so many lives, has been a big slowdown in economic growth around the world. This chart up here with the green bars shows GDP growth rate per year for the various countries in South Asia and also for East and Southeast Asia in 2019. And you can see there was robust growth across the region everywhere. The red bars, however, show the September projection from the Asian Development Bank of growth for 2020. And we can see there has been a sharp decline everywhere in all countries, and it's even turned negative in many countries. Fortunately, Bangladesh is doing quite well compared to other countries. It is projected among all the countries in South Asia to have the highest growth rate in 2020. So that's good news, but not to take away from the tremendous hardship that it has caused to many people in the country and indeed around the globe. Now that's the bad news. The good news is from the world food economy, things have been much better. For example, cereal production in 2020 is forecast by FAO to be at an all-time record. All-time records are also expected individually for rice and maize production. And cereal stocks at the end of the 2021 season are projected to reach record highs, with ample availabilities for each of rice, maize, and wheat. Furthermore, the FAO Food Price Index, which is an index of international food prices for different categories like dairy, meat, cereals, vegetable oils, and sugar, that is below the level right now. It's increased for the last few months, but it's still below the level from December 2019 and January 2020. So overall, the world food economy has been doing pretty well. This graph here shows some changes in domestic food prices in various countries in the Asian region. And we see here, this is the annualized increase in real, so adjusted for inflation, real food prices based on changes in the Consumer Price Index since December of 2019. And we see here that the median increase is maybe about 2%. That's on an annualized basis, which is a very small increase. And indeed, Bangladesh has done very, very well, you can see here, at keeping food prices essentially stable during this pandemic. I think that's because the reasons for that are that food supply chains seem to be functioning generally pretty well. There have, of course, been problems, as all of you have read about in the paper. But I think governments in the region have responded well overall. Food and agriculture were declared essential services, which helped to allow food to move around the country more easily. There's been good collaboration between public and private sector to solve problems as they arise. Problems have been happening, but they've been being solved relatively quickly. And finally, I think in a good spirit of international cooperation, export restrictions have been few and short-lived. So that has also helped to stabilize world and domestic food markets. Now I'd like to move on and discuss that's been kind of the short-term impacts. I'd like to discuss some of the medium to longer-term impacts and discuss a little bit to the extent to which COVID-19 will affect some of these developments. The first important thing to note is that the share of agriculture in the overall Bangladesh economy has been declining over the last 40 years. From about 30% or 35% in the early 1980s to less than 15% today. COVID-19, by slowing economic growth, may slow this progress to some extent, but I don't think it will slow it very much. It looks, especially given the good performance of Bangladesh that I showed in the earlier slide, I think this structural transformation will continue. Now, the structural transformation means the relative size of agriculture is declining because it's growing less rapidly. It's still growing, but growing less rapidly than manufacturing and service sectors. But in addition to the continued structural transformation, there's also an agricultural transformation, which is changing the structure of the agricultural sector. First, there's been an increasing importance of non-farm income for rural households. We see an aging farm population in nearly all countries. We see throughout South Asia, we see a feminization of agriculture, with the share of women who participate in the agricultural labor force rising. We see declining farm sizes. Farm sizes in Asia have always been small, but they're still getting smaller. And with migration to urban areas and reduced population growth, we're starting to see shrinking rural populations. Now, all of these changes pose challenges for agriculture, which needs to become more competitive and more productive, and also produce more nutritious foods, as was alluded to earlier on this afternoon. Each of these changes that I mentioned creates challenges for the adoption of technologies, which will be very important to making agriculture more competitive and productive. For example, the increasing importance of non-farm income means that for many farmers, there will be less time and incentive to learn new knowledge-intensive agricultural technologies. An aging farm population creates problems because older farmers are often more resistant to change, and they have less time left to benefit from new technologies. The feminization of agriculture can create challenges because women often have more difficulty in getting access to information and inputs. declining farm sizes can be a problem because that gives farmers less land area that can benefit from new technologies, so that there's less incentive to adopt these technologies given the fixed costs of learning. And finally, the shrinking rural populations give less incentive to adopt labor-intensive technologies. So what are some of the government policies to promote a dynamic and competitive agriculture? Well, one, especially in the context of COVID-19, is to improve safety nets and social protection and training to help those who lose their jobs in the short run. Another important area of policy is to promote digital agriculture and encourage the participation of youth who are often more comfortable with new digital technologies. I think the private sector needs to be encouraged to act as a service provider. For example, machinery rental markets and services rental markets. This will help the spread of technologies to mechanize harvesting, to promote, say, spraying of mango trees, for example, to induce flowering. These are very important to do, especially in the context of small farm sizes, where many farmers do not have the money to buy these machines or to buy these machines themselves. So it's important for the private sector, for entrepreneurs to step in and fill this gap. The government should probably not set ceiling prices or provide such services directly, especially because digital technologies can increase the scope for competition in the private sector. The government can support development of prototype machinery suitable to local conditions and then provide that to the private sector. Tax incentives and subsidies are also another option, but I would caution that they be limited. Don't give machines away, because then farmers have no incentive to maximize the use of those machines. They don't feel ownership of those machines, even if they're given to them. It's much better to provide some subsidies, but limited. This not only saves budget to promote other things like agricultural research, but it also makes sure that the farmers really own these, have skin in the game themselves. They have their own incentives to use these and be profitable with them. So I'm sure there's some other ideas. I look forward to hearing some of the discussants today. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
ধন্যবাদ। মূল প্রবন্ধ উপস্থাপন করলেন ডক্টর ডেভিড ডো। এবার মূল প্রবন্ধের উপরে আলোচনা করবেন ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আব্দুর রাজ্জাক, সাবেক নির্বাহী চেয়ারম্যান, বাংলাদেশ কৃষি গবেষণা কাউন্সিল।
Now I would like to request discussant Dr. Mohammad Abdul Razzaq, former Executive Chairman, Bangladesh Agriculture Research Council, for his comment on the keynote speech.
Assalamu alaikum. Respected Chairperson, Mr. Mesbaul Islam, Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Honorable Chief Guest, Minister Dr. Mohammad Abdul Razzaq, Ministry of Agriculture, respected special guest, Mr. Nasiruzzaman, Ex-Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, and Dr. Mosammat Nazmunara Khanam, Secretary, Ministry of Food, FAO-DG, Robert Docksan Simpson, FAO representative in Bangladesh, and Dr. Boktiar. First, I would like to say that we are now commemorating the centennial birthday of Mujibur Rahman, father of the nation. I would like to salute him, and I would like to express my gratitude for his contribution for the nation. Now, I would like to make some observation and comment on the paper that has been presented. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. BD-2 for his nice presentation, very succinct presentation on impact of COVID-19 on Asian food system and agricultural transformation. He has rightly pointed out that the economics are slowing and job losses are severe in many countries of the Asia-Pacific region and in Asia. But we are really very fortunate that Bangladesh is above all countries. If you look at the graph, then we are in a static, almost in a static position. It means that we are not really affected. We are affected, but it has been covered by our actions, positive actions. And I would like to say that the world Syrian market are well supplied, and Bangladesh market is also well supplied. It's true. And the prices are stable. Although the prices in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, in this Asian subcontinent, it varies. But overall price is almost the same, but it is not static, although it has ups and downs. Then he has also shed light on some challenges in technology adoption, of which aging of a farmers becomes one of the impediments. He has really rightly pointed out that the youth people are really moving from village to town, and they are really engaged in the non-farm service sector. That's why the aging of the people become, that's why what we really need is to develop our future farmers with young people. That should be our responsibility in the future. And he has also pointed out that the government needs to contribute in social protection. Possibly social protection is very, very important aspect during the COVID time for Bangladesh. And government has rightly pointed out, has taken the step, timely approach for protecting our poor people. 90,000 tons of rice has been distributed to Taka 10 only. And 13 crore Taka has been distributed by the Disaster Management Ministry directly to the people who are really affected so far. So the safety net program in Bangladesh has really been covered. The poor people, especially those who are really vulnerable poor people, living either in the rural areas or in the city areas. Now what is really important, that Mr. BD-2 has not mentioned one thing, which I would consider that it was a very, very important things to consider. One is, what is the impact of the COVID-19? COVID-19 impact, in one word, if I tell, it affected the health and wealth of the people. It has affected the health first, then wealth. The income has reduced. That is the first effect of the COVID-19 with the people. But why Bangladesh has not been affected? If you look at the graph, what David has rightly shown, And if you look at those graph, it looks like a V-shaped and U-shaped. V-shaped means, if you look at the V-shape, it goes down and going up sharply. But if it is U-shaped, it goes down and gradually it is going up. And Bangladesh belongs to V-shaped recovery, resilient. If you carefully look at those graphs, it looks like that. Why it has happened? Because it is not only the technology, it is not only the social protection, but also the leadership. Leadership in the ministry. All the ministry, leadership is with the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh, for which it has been covered very sharply within the Bangladesh context. Now, what has happened during the pandemic time in Bangladesh? All on a sudden, the supply chain has been disrupted. That was the most critical things that has happened in Bangladesh. Due to blockage, the supply chain has disrupted, but within 2-3 weeks, government had decided to uplift those barriers. Movement of the agricultural produce, movement of the laborers, movement of the movement of the people in the market has opened up. And people by themselves, they really take up the courage, taking courage from the government, the general people went up and they have really jumped up into those facilities, for which these things has been happened. During the COVID time, another thing has happened, that all the restaurants were closed. So taking food by the outside people, nutrient food in the restaurant, those supplies are disrupted. So due to the disruption of the supply chain, up to the restaurant also restricted. Fish market was stagnated, meat market was stagnated because there was no pull-up from the upper side. The city people went back to villages and there was no customer in the market. But gradually when the ban was withdrawn by the government, people again coming to the city, and the market is now in a normal, almost in a normal condition, and the supply chain of both input and output is taking its shape again. Now what I would like to mention, that the labor shortage, how labor shortage has been really met up. During the COVID time, labor becomes a very shortage. There are two things to address. One is the borrow harvest. Another is the input supply for the aush production. That two scenario has been improved by mobilizing farmers and laborers and machineries in the different parts of the country, and that has really worked very good, and the timely harvest of the borrow has been completed. And that is really a commendable jobs that has been done by the all effort of the all people from the policy level up to the ground level with the farmers. So people are working together already, and that working has been led by the minister, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Razak. I found him to be in the Sunamganj during the COVID time, when it was so risky business to go out of your home. But he has really rushed to various places, and people are encouraged to do that. Now, nevertheless, COVID-19 pandemic is a crisis of completely different scale and magnitude in Bangladesh. Its toll has been massive, and people are in other countries are suffering also. And growth and disseminate the health and education system was affected too much. Education system, the way we move out, the way we teach and learn has been changed by the COVID-19. And in the World Bank, it has been told that because of this problem in the education system, a person will have their 4% income loss during their lifetime. It's a great loss to the nation, everywhere within the country. That's why how we can really bring the student to the school in the university, that should be the priority areas to work. And one thing I would like to lastly, because my time is only for 5 minutes, the thing is that the knowledge and skill and the communication skill has been changed. The market is now, nobody, during this corona time, the market came to our house. We did not went to the market. So the approach of marketing has been changed. This approach requires a special type of communication with the market, and that is what is the ICT. That type of communication skill has to be developed to address the market as well as other issues in the education system as well in the agriculture system. Now, I would like to make some of the recommendations that farm and food workers, if the farm people, that means the farmers and the farm workers, we must protect them from illness. We must extend our health services to them. Otherwise, if these people, as you have seen, that there are aging people are now involved in agriculture. If these people do not get these facilities, agriculture will have a very bad time in the coming future. So that type of facilities has to be developed for the farmers and farm workers. Number 2 is dignity of works. We must give the dignity of work to the woman, especially with machineries, so that people will feel proud that I am working with the machinery, not with hand. And that will really improve the efficiency and efficacy of the work in agriculture. And real-time address to catastrophe. We must act on time, as has been done during the COVID and Amphan time, and also in the long duration flood time that has been acted upon. It must continue, the momentum has to be continued so that there should have no food crisis within the Bangladesh. And we have not done justice to the health of the environment. There, where we really need to work. If the health of the environment goes wrong, the human being as well as agriculture and those who are living in this planet will go everything wrong. It is not only economics. The environment has to be, economics and environment has to go together. Otherwise, it should really have and financial risk has increased recently because the market is not perfect now. The confidence level of the investor has to be bring about, and the small entrepreneurs has to be given support so that they have some confidence in their mind so that they can invest, for which I will suggest that Agriculture Innovation Fund has to be introduced. 50% your money, 50% government money you invest. And that is the way things should go with the small farmers. Otherwise, investment at this point of time may be a risky job. Maybe after 1 and 2 years, they will come back and we don't need innovation fund. But now it is a necessity. And finally, pulling ourselves together. This is one thing that is what we need to do. And COVID has a problem, but COVID has also created an opportunity for us. And that opportunity is technological opportunity. those type of technological learning has to be extended, and that will be an unique disposition into collective response, and has been our survival instinct since the beginning of the civilization. We are creating opportunity for the farmers to sustain and enhance production, productivity, and creating a link between farmers and farming. Because if we can work together, we can really make a difference. With this, I would like to stop here, and I would like to again thank for inviting me here, and I would like to thank Dr. Devi for his nice presentation, very concise and succinct presentation, but very provocative and knowledgeable presentation that he has made. Thank you very much.
এবারে মূল প্রবন্ধের উপরে আলোচনা করবেন ডক্টর নথুরাম সরকার, মহাপরিচালক, বাংলাদেশ প্রাণী সম্পদ গবেষণা ইনস্টিটিউট। আমি অনুরোধ করছি আলোচকগণ নির্ধারিত সময়ের মধ্যে দয়া করে আপনাদের আলোচনাটি শেষ করবেন।
Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to request our respected discussant, Dr. Nathuram Sarkar, Director General, Livestock Research Institute, Bangladesh.
Respected Chairperson, in the technical session organized as a celebration of World Food Day 2020, Mr. Mijbaul Islam, Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Abdul Razzaq MP, Minister of Agriculture, Government of the People Republic of Bangladesh, respected special guest, ex-secretary, Mr. Nasruzzaman, Minister of Agriculture, and then special guest, Mr. Najbun Nahara Khanum, Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Food, special guest, Mr. Matthew Moral, Director General, International Rice Research Institute, Mr. D. Robert Simpson, FO representative Bangladesh, other guest and distinguished discussant. One of the discussant is Professor Dr. Abdul Sattar Mondol, Professor Emeritus, former Vice Chancellor, Bangladesh Krishi Vishwadhyay, Mymensingh, and then Mr. Muhammad Abdul Muid, Director General, Department of Agriculture, and my former discussant, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Razzaq, former Executive Chairman, BRC, keynote speaker, David Dew, Senior Economist, FO Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific, convener of the seminar committee, Dr. Sheikh Muhammad Bokhtiar, Executive Chairman, BRC, dignitaries, distinguished participants, media personnel, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon everybody. I feel the honor to be a discussant in this auspicious occasion. My previous discussant discussed all of the areas what the keynote speaker presented in his few slides. I think he presented the comprehensive way what is done in the agricultural system. And for this reason, first I'd like to thank Mr. David Doe for nicely presented his valuable paper entitled Impact of COVID-19 on Asian Food System and Agriculture Transformation. In his presentation, he showed the economic status and job market in Asiatic countries pre and post COVID situation. He talked about the world cereal market, domestic food price, food supply chain structural transformation, Bangladesh economy, agriculture transformation, challenges for technology adoption to lead the agriculture transformation, and finally, policy support needed to promote dynamic and competitive agriculture in all over the Asia, including Bangladesh. He addressed total agricultural transformation, but if the speaker did not show any slide, but because I am a specialist on livestock, if you show one or two slides in the what is happening in the livestock and the fisheries sector in the Asia and including Bangladesh, it will be more comprehensive. So, and it would be more complete. I think this sector in Asia, including Bangladesh, has been potential role, taking a competent role in the nutritional security in addition to the food security in the cereal crop. So, in other things, we have seen the the whatever discussed in my previous discussion, that we seen that the every though other countries suffering from the different issues like a food price, like others economic distortion, but we found that the Bangladesh making all sort of comfort, and we are little bit good position in including all countries, and in compared to the Asian and other specific countries, also others countries. And ladies and gentlemen, if we considered the transformation in agriculture, we found that there are a lot of things are happening in the agriculture transformation. If we considered though I am a people of livestock, then if we consider the crop sector, there are a lot of transformation is happening. But if we consider the agriculture, livestock sector and fisheries sector, people having 1 or 2 cows, they are also transforming. They are also rearing as a commercial basis. This is the transformation what is happening in our country. So we though other countries suffering the lot of problem in the COVID situation, but we people, we are, due to the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, we are not so much suffered. But few things, our previous discussions also mentioned that there is a little distortion in the earlier phase of COVID, but we are, due to our leadership, we are overcome this problem, and now we people are, though in my sector, there are initial problem in the, due to the supply chain and input chain, those chain have been changed, and we people are now feel comfort, and the private sector and public sector also feel comfort in our sector. If we look, I can mention one thing, that during the 4-5 years implementation, 7-5 years plan, the sector grew at an average of annual rate of 3.5, but again our target was that 3.3, but we achieved better than our annual growth. Now I'd like to share the contribution of livestock in the total agricultural system. It is the key economic contribution, agricultural economic contribution, and we contributed 1.47% in GDP and 13.6% agricultural GDP, and this is the time. And during the first 4 years of 7-5 year plan, the sector considerably contribute. The annual growth rate was 3.4%, and which is considerably higher than the our plan. Our 6-year plan was 2.8. So all our target we had achieved, we had overcome our target, which were planned in the 6th 5-year plan. Livestock serve as not as essential as a source of protein. So we people are supplying protein in addition to the nutritional security, and it also the asset of the landless people, livelihood option, and rural poverty reduction. This is during the 7th 5-year plan. Bangladesh achieved self-sufficiency in meat production near in what you required. We have got the self-sufficiency in meat production, but we're little bit behind in the milk production, and we are targeting. We are sufficiency in the egg production also, but we're little bit behind in the milk production. So this area needs to be addressed further in combination with the agriculture sector, because we are related. Livestock is always related to the agriculture sector. 30% of crop, all over the crop, is dependent on the livestock feed. So we people are totally dependent on the agriculture sector. If agriculture sector is flourish more, the livestock sector will go further to flourish more. This is the relation between the livestock and the agriculture sector. And I can show, I can give you the one parameter that during the last 3 years, the egg production, the milk production is increased in 42%. During the last 3 years, 42%, and the egg production is increased in 55%. So we got a tremendous performance, tremendous achievement in our livestock sector. One thing I'd like to share, the annual growth rate of livestock species are positive trend. In the highest growth rate was achieved in the poultry sector, which is average in 2.6%. If we consider one of the species that we are ranking, the Bangladesh ranked 4th position in goat production and meat production with an average livestock production, all the what is 12, the position. According to the FAO and Atomic Energy Commission, Black Bengal is one of the famous breed in terms of meat and skin production. Ladies and gentlemen, similar to agriculture, similar to crop agriculture transformation, can I share few things regarding the poultry sector? Similar achievement is also in the poultry sector we achieved. The present interest is more, investment is more than 35 crore in the poultry sector. I'd like to, though I am representing the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock Show, I'd like to share what we achieved in the fisheries sector. In the fisheries sector, tremendous progress has been achieved due to the policy support and investment of the research and development and the policy support of the government. Bangladesh ranked third position in the inland water and 5th position in the aquaculture and 11th position in the marine fisheries sector. So, fisheries sector also contributing in our nutritional security. And this is the important area. This transformation of livestock and fisheries sector is achieved due to the policy support, soft loan, exemption of taxes and other support of the present government, especially Honorable Prime Minister, daughter of the father of the nation, Sheikh Hasina, always providing her positive support for the achievement of this sector. So, in addition to the livestock sector and in addition to the fisheries sector, we people are working with the agriculture sector. So, here, in addition to our former discussion, I'd like to add the few things in recommendation. The marketing is very vulnerable in our sector, and though we are progressing day by day, but there is some challenges there, especially the marketing is one of the major challenges, and our other challenge is whatever our Honorable Minister in Agriculture, he always talk about our boiler production. So safe food production is one of the major challenges in our sector, both in the fisheries and the livestock sector. So these areas, and also the climate change and zoonotic and transmitted animal diseases and fish shortage, these sort of areas need to be recommended further to get our momentum in future. Finally, I'd like to thank the organizer for selecting me to select as a discussant and give me opportunity to share my knowledge and give me the opportunity. Thank you, the organizer, for giving me the chance to share. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
মূল প্রবন্ধের উপর এবারে আলোচনা করবেন ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আব্দুল মুঈদ, মহাপরিচালক, কৃষি সম্প্রসারণ অধিদপ্তর।
I would now like to request our respected discussant, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Muhid, Director General, Department of Agricultural Extension, Ministry of Agriculture.
Respected Chair of the technical session, Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Misbahul Islam, our Honorable Chief Guest, okay, sir, ladies and gentlemen, and the discussion and distinguished guest, I would like to say something about the paper presentation by the David Dow. Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. The keynote paper presented by Mr. David Dow described a brief summary of the Asian food system and agriculture transformation during the COVID-19 situation. Food production, supply, food availability, and market prices, structural transformation related to agriculture and its challenges are well narrated. We know the COVID-19 affected all the areas of the world and turmoiled economic stance almost in every country. Similarly, in Bangladesh, in the lockdown period, it halted almost all economic activities and disrupted the supply chain. But with the proper leadership by our Honorable Prime Minister and appropriate guidance by our Agriculture Minister, the agriculture sector continued playing a key role in saving the lives and livelihoods of the peoples, producing and supplying more food. With the direct initiative and supervision by our agriculture minister, we succeeded to harvest boro rice all over the country, especially in the Haur areas, introducing combine harvester timely and quickly facing different challenges since most of our farmers were not adapted to mechanization in agriculture. We know the agriculture contributes about 14% to the country's GDP and provides employment to about 41% of the labor force. In the keynote paper, presenter showed in a slide a slowing economy and job losses graph. In the graph, we have seen that within the Asian countries, only Bangladesh is still stand in better position in comparison with the other countries. Our Prime Minister, the daughters of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of nation, she is a forward-looking leader, implemented mechanization in agriculture so quickly, rapidly embarked all the task of economic recovery of Bangladesh, declared 5,000 crore taka subsidy in addition to conventional social security for the poor. New cash assistance and relief programs have been introduced. At the beginning of the crisis, people had stay at home for the months. It can be said there is no work of people in the informal sector at the time. Farmers' products could not come to the market as the mass transport was in lockdown position. So it goes without saying that there was no price for agricultural products. She did not allow the situation to continue for the long. Moreover, the formal large-scale garment factories were not closed for long in that sense. She has made arrangements so that the workers of these factories are paid properly. She arranged loans for garment owners at a rate of only 2%. The central bank arranged for the workers to send money as a mobile bank. Apart from this, the government and Bangladesh Bank have launched incentive programs of 3.8% of GDP for more than 1 lakh crore taka. Special loans have been arranged for small and medium entrepreneurs. Incentives have been provided for farmers and rural small entrepreneurs. The distribution of agriculture credit has increased. Now that the transport system is operational, the produce of the farmers is being sold at the right price due to cyclone Amphan, heavy rains during the July to August, raising slopes of rising river water, floods in several times, and river erosion in different districts of the countries have caused loss of almond, paddy, jute, vegetables, spices and plants, and also some livestock. The prices of products that are less has been taken for more production as well as further strengthen international trade. However, the overall situation now is stable with the proper guidance and supervision by our Honorable Agriculture Minister. All the agencies under the Ministry of Agriculture provided appropriate assistance to the farmers as and when needed. Therefore, the farmers did not stop their work in the field even for a day. This trend has continued since the current agro-friendly government of Sheikh Hasina came to power. Since she returned to power 2009, she has been subsidizing agriculture at least 9,000 crore every year. Apart from this, she is also encouraging the private sector in various ways for the development of agriculture. As a result, our agriculture is doing very well even in such a pandemic crisis. As a result of increasing support of agriculture research, releasing of new varieties of paddy, wheat, maize, and vegetables has released. And it is only natural that our Prime Minister, who is leading in tackling the challenge of climate change, support the work of making agriculture sustainable. Some initiatives that has been taken during the COVID-19 situation. In order to avoid the effect of COVID-19 in agriculture, Boro rice has been successfully harvested, as previous discussant has mentioned that. Combined harvester and other appropriate harvesting machine, a total of 1,322 combined harvester and 908 reapers distributed in the time of during Boro harvest. About 37,000 agriculture laborers have been provided to harvest Boro crops from 4 agriculture regions of the country, including Northern region, under the management of Ministry of Agriculture and under the direct control of DAE. In the current aush season, in addition target of 2 lakhs hectare of land, that is total. From the previous year, it was 11 lakh hectare of land covered by the aush, but this year it is 13 lakh 29,000 hectare has been set for aush cultivation, and the aush harvest also very remarkable and very nicely harvested by our farmers. To ensure food security of low-income people of the country during COVID-19 period, a list of farmers have been prepared and handed over to the food department for procurement of rice, giving priority. To ensure food security, to work in underway of the field level in accordance with the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure food security of the people of the country during and after COVID-19 period. A specific field instruction have been issued by and after the COVID-19 period. Ministry of Agriculture and DAE to increase the food production in accordance with the 31-point instruction of the Prime Minister and to ensure maximum utilization of cultivable land. You know, our Prime Minister has instructed us not a single inch of land to remain without cultivation by the crops. Aush paddy seeds and the fertilizer are distributed free of cost to 3,83,000 farmers in 2 phases. Besides, 410 metric tons of aush paddy seeds have been distributed among other farmers in the 3rd phase. At present, 120 crore taka is being implemented in agriculture under the incentive program. Taka 50 crore is being implemented for compensation of the farmers affected by natural calamities and for cooperative farming as well as the COVID-19 situation. A policy has been formulated to sell seeds to a limited range of subsidized price among the farmers by BD-2. Special incentives refinancing the agriculture sector and guidelines have been sent to the DA for the involvement of cooperational and supervision in the implementation of schemes of providing agriculture loans at 4% discounting interest rate in the grain and the crop sector to address the crisis caused by the outbreak of novel coronavirus. For proper marketing of fruits, watermelons, warehouse keepers are being assisted by making a list. Vegetable seeds have been distributed free of cost to about 2,20,000 farmers among the low-income people to nourish themselves through self-management. As we know, the population growth rate of the country is about 1.37%. At the same time, agricultural land is declining at a rate of about 1%. Nevertheless, last time since 2006, the present government has adopted an agriculture-friendly policy and implemented well-planned activities to implement it. As a result, rice production increased by 48%, wheat by 60%, maize by 935%, potato by 162%, pulses by 272%, oils by 250%, and vegetable production by 608%. This has led a gradual increase of the tendency of the people to eat vegetables instead of grains. That is why malnutrition is now declining. Nowadays, about 80 to 90% of our farmers are technology dependent. We have left many big countries behind in food grain production. In the last 1 decade, we are now 3rd in the world of food production, including paddy, fish, chicken, and cattle. 3rd in vegetable production, and 7th in mango and potato production. Our food production index is now 145%. This index in India is 144, China 139, Vietnam 138, Sri Lanka 131, and Pakistan 130. We are doing better in socio-economic development than many other countries with the unprecedented support of agriculture during COVID-19 situation. This success has been made possibly by the timely effort of the present government, hardworking farmers, talented agriculture scientists and extension workers, as well as the joint effort of the private sectors and the non-government organization. The presented paper reflects the whole scenario: COVID-19 impact on agriculture, food supply, marketing, agriculture transformation, and the policy in brief, as time is short, but it is well defined and instructive to combat the COVID-19 situation. Hope this seminar will help Bangladesh agriculture for further development to uphold the title, the role model of agriculture development. Finally, I thanks to the organizer to select me as a discussant here and to make the scope to say something. So thank you very much. Thank you all for patient sharing. Long live Bangladesh.
এ পর্যায়ে জুম প্ল্যাটফর্মে যুক্ত থেকে মূল প্রবন্ধের উপরে আলোচনা করবেন ডক্টর আব্দুস সাত্তার মণ্ডল, এমেরিটাস প্রফেসর ও সাবেক উপাচার্য, বাংলাদেশ কৃষি বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়।
Distinguished guest, now I would like to request Emeritus Professor and former Vice Chancellor of Bangladesh Agriculture University, Dr. M.A. Sattar Mondol, for his valuable comment. And he will deliver his comment through Zoom platform.
Thank you, facilitators. Respected Chair, Honorable Chief Guest, the special guest, guest of honor, seminar convener, keynote speaker, discussants, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to all of you. I'm very sorry that I miss meeting you personally face to face. That's a big loss on my part. But at the age of 73, I'm still brave enough to choose this virtual media to speak to you despite my ignorance and a very little knowledge about this high-tech information system. I'm very happy to listen to the presentation made by Dr. David Dow, whom I have known and met several times over the years. And I have seen David's keen observation of the economics as well as the biology of Asian agriculture as a consistent reader and as well as a resource and policy maker. So very welcome to you, David. I will concentrate on 3 points, but before that, I must make a comment that in this difficult time of COVID pandemic, when we are threatened by the scaring signals from all around that there might be food crisis, there might be market failure, there might be a lot of people going hungry, and there might be a lot of measures for the low-income people. It's so reassuring to hear from someone from a global international organization like FAO that the world market is well supplied with key cereals, particularly rice and staples, and also is so reassuring that rice production and maize production projection for the year 2019 and 2020 and 21 are the record high production. Bangladesh as a country, which is still struggling very hard to ensure food security to millions of people. It is such a good news and so reassuring. So thank you very much, David, again, for bringing to us all these good stories that only strengthens our confidence and belief in what we have been doing to accelerate the growth path of Bangladesh agriculture and overall development. Okay, my 3 points or 4 points I would like to concentrate on. I pick it up from David's presentation. The first of all is the question of structural change in agriculture. Yes, I agree that the share of agriculture in GDP has dropped. But that is an intersectoral distribution matter. What is more important to me is also intrasectoral transformation, which also needs prominence and attention in the discussion. I'm referring to diversification that has taken place within the agricultural sector. If one can remember that between 1990 and 2019, over this 30 years period, crop sector contribution to agricultural GDP has declined from 65% to 54%. But if you look at livestock, its share has increased from 12% to now 15%. And if you look at fisheries sector, the story is even more brilliant, that the share of fisheries sector in agricultural GDP has improved from 15% in 1990 to 23% in 2019. What story do we get from here? We get the story of very increasing diversification of agricultural sector itself, which David has hinted upon. And this diversification has not only accelerated the pace of commercial agriculture that has been the avowed goal of the government of Bangladesh, but it has also contributed very significantly to the improvement of nutrition level in the dietary consumption. Therefore, the tomorrow's agriculture in Bangladesh and probably in most of Asia will be nutrition-centric, meaning that together with crop agriculture, our emphasis would be given to aquatic agriculture as well as animal agriculture, let alone the question of other minor segments like floriculture and horticulture as well. The second point is declining farm size, which David has very rightly put forward in his presentation. But what I would like to add to this is that there has not been any apparent impact of this declining farm size on agricultural productivity, nor on equity of income distribution at the farm household level. And if you look at the total factor productivity, it has been growing in Bangladesh very steadily at the rate of 2.7% per annum, very close to what has happened to China or Malaysia in the recent years. Now, what is the dynamics of this story? Well, I would like to first of all concentrate on 3 drivers of this change or change in productivity. First of all is this old hypothesis of inverse relationship between farm size and productivity seems to have reversed already according to Mahbub Hossain panel data. It now seems that as the farm size grows, the productivity level also goes up. Why is it? There are 3 explanations seem to be in the offing. Number 1 is the diversification of agriculture, which I have narrated a little while ago. As the large farm has the farm have the opportunity to invest and also access to education and technology first, they are the first one to take advantage of this diversification of more profitable and commercial crops. And that has added to this productivity and profitability growth. The second driver is the mechanization of farm operation, which has reduced the cost of production per unit of output, but at the same time also increased the level of productivity as well as the profitability per unit of investment. And then the third driver is the economies of scale, meaning that in Bangladesh, despite this fragmented small farm holdings and plot size, there is a slow process of operational consolidation of this small fragmented farm size that build into a larger economic size through a number of arrangements going on in the farming sector. For example, the leasing of land by those who have the capacity and the skill but don't have the access to land ownership are now cash renting land for high value crops. The second is the custom hire services or rental market for the machinery by the entrepreneur and by the owners of this machine. And these local service providers have built up their own market system to provide services. And if you take this together, these drivers together really contribute to the increasing productivity and profitability and march toward commercialization of Bangladesh agriculture. But one thing I must recall here as well, that the age-old problem of yield gap still remains an issue which needs to be addressed by the researchers as well as the extension specialists. And when I say yield gap, I mean gap between the experimental station yield and the farmer's level yield. But I also mean that there are also substantial yield gaps between farmers. A farmer to farmer yield gap is also one thing that we must pay our attention to. My next point is the subsidy that David Dow has mentioned. Yes, subsidy has got its odds, no doubt, and there are economic distortions that subsidy might cause, particularly might cause disincentive for those who are ready and who have the ability to invest, but might be out functionally because of these a kind of illusion to subsidy. And particularly that happens when you distribute your lumpy, expensive machines through a kind of farmer selection, through lottery or any other choices really. But I must say that Bangladesh has also proved over the years that this subsidy operation has been rationalized time to time in such a meticulous way that initially you start with subsidizing the new machine, which are expensive and which farmers have all the risks and confusion about. But then as the time goes and market takes over, particularly that happened with groundwater shallow tubewell, irrigation machineries, and tractors and power tillers, government starts to reduce and gradually withdraw subsidies to a minimal level. My next point is rural non-farm that David has very rightly mentioned, and I have been, rural non-farm has been one of my pet subjects. One thing I must mention, that there is a strong connection between rural non-farm growth and agricultural growth. There is also a very strong connection between agricultural employment growth and non-farm employment growth, which it means that we need more and more investment, not only the financial investment, but also investment in information technology, but also information in skill development, but also investment in rural power and electricity, which enhances the chance of accelerating and promoting the growth of non-farm sector. I must mention particularly two things. One is the increased investment in agribusiness and trade services, particularly rural trade services. And second is the investment in rural light engineering, which encompasses this local workshop, the foundry, repair machineries, and local mechanic services, which are key to the agricultural mechanization, the major contributor of this non-farm economy or non-farm income growth in Bangladesh. And my final conclusion is about David Dow's highlighted point on public-private sector collaboration, which has strengthened our capacity and ability to keep the food market stable so far. I would go a little beyond that, really, that public-private sector collaboration has been so effective in the recent years we have seen in Bangladesh that we are trying to strengthen even more areas and expand our opportunities, but how to cement that collaboration. The first example, it comes of the mobilization of this expensive and lumpy, durable, and sometimes not that durable agricultural machineries. Particular example is mobilizing this combined harvester and reaper in the low-lying adverse ecology of Haor areas of Bangladesh in the first month, COVID month of April, where the whole world was very threatened. Whole Bangladesh was locked down. It was this public-private sector collaboration that with the announcement of this historic 200 crores taka subsidy package, this private sector jumped in immediately, and within a span of only 2 weeks' time, they mobilized hundreds of these machines which they had in their stock to these Haor areas and contributed to the rapid and very prompt harvesting of this paddy, which is the only paddy for food security in those areas. And they did the operation in such a time that a little late would mean the damage of the entire crop by the early flash flood from the Indian state of Meghalaya. My second example of public-private partnership is also worth mentioning, is that during this ongoing flood situation in this almond season, it has been hit by several times. But when we look at the cooperation between the Agricultural Extension Department with the mandate from the ministry and the private sector companies, for example, like ACI, collaborated together to supply the plastic boxes, really, or trays, to support these flood-affected families to raise their almond seedlings so that at least when the flood water recedes, they can rapidly transplant these seedlings which they have grown on the trays. That's a clear example, really. The another example which comes to my mind is another private sector like Bayer Crop Science, which distributed the hybrid seed of almond in order to come together and support the government initiative to recover from the losses of this flood. And my final conclusion would be for all of us that it's not only public-private partnership that is important. We have learned during this COVID situation that there is also room for public-public collaboration in this country. And we have got a very historic classical example that how during these COVID months, when we needed our harvesting labor to move from one area to another, It is this collaboration between these government agencies like Ministry of Agriculture, the Department of Extension, law enforcing agencies, health department, and civil administration. Their concerted effort and collaboration made it possible that within the short span of time that the harvest labor could be mobilized and allowed to travel from one area to another, fully complying these health regulation and safety measures as prescribed by WHO. So I would conclude here by saying that it's such a pleasing moment that we are celebrating the World Food Day. In 1972, 73, 74, while I was a just university graduate, we didn't hear of any World Food Day, although FAO existed. And it was the time that Bangladesh had to import 3 to 4 million tons of rice every year to feed its people. Today in 2020, we are now food surplus, not only in rice, in many non-rice crops, and many non-crops, livestock, fish, and anything. And I am so happy that FAO has been with us all these years with a strong support, and which we celebrate today. We are with you, and FAO and other international organizations will be with us. I hope, and thank you very much indeed, and thank you for your patience hearing. I again say, I miss meeting all of you. Particularly, I miss meeting my good friends, the ever most successful agriculture minister, Dr. Razzaq. Thank you very much indeed.
শেষ হলো মূল প্রবন্ধের উপরে আলোচনা। এ পর্যায়ে সম্মানিত অতিথিগণের বক্তব্য। প্রথমে মিস্টার রিচার্ড রেগান, কান্ট্রি রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ WFP, তার ধারণকৃত বক্তব্য উপস্থাপিত হচ্ছে।
Ladies and gentlemen, now recorded speech of guest of honor, Mr. Richard Regan, country representative World Food Program, will be presented.
Assalamu alaikum. Amar Nam Richard Regan. I'm a WFP Bangladeshi country director. Thanks to the chief guest, Dr. Mohammed Abdul Razzaq, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, and all other protocols observed. I apologize if I don't respond directly to the paper. I'm going to try to address my remarks at a little bit broader perspective, but sticking to sort of the same theme. This is a very important day for us as a community, as a world who is committed to the fight against hunger. The United Nations World Food Program today joins its sister agencies in calling for global action to improve the systems that produce and distribute the food we eat, so that people can better withstand the shocks, including those that have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and in particular, as the presenter mentioned, to avoid the alarming, surges in the level of hunger around the globe. In many countries that we're working, the socio-economic impacts of the pandemic, particularly the loss of earnings and remittances, are heightening the existing threats linked to conflict and climate change in particular. The number of acutely hungry people in the world could increase by more than 100 million this year, according to our estimates. In Bangladesh alone, our estimates are that with the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, as many as 20 million more people may have been pushed into poverty. This is a particular concern for fragile countries. A slide back to famine is a real risk. I think, you know, what we've seen with the response to the COVID crisis in Bangladesh is certainly not that. The government has been, you know, very active in responding quickly with significant food assistance needs, and that's in thanks to, you know, the Honorable Minister, the Secretary of Food from the Ministry of Food who's in the room, and many of you around the table who have been, you know, involved in that response. You know, clearly there's a need for concerted action to improve agricultural production while enhancing global supply chains and ending food waste that's captured in this year's, you know, World Food Day theme, grow, nourish, and sustain together. The three Rome-based the World Food Program, FAO, and IFAD are calling for sustainable investment in food systems to achieve healthy diets for all people around the world. You know, without massive improvements in the food supply chain, many fragile nations are set to become increasingly more vulnerable to financial volatility and climate shocks. I think we all in this room know that the world produces enough food to feed everyone, so it's never really a problem of scarcity, but a problem of access to nutritious and affordable food. Small shareholder farmers need support so they can grow crops in a more way, then store and transport their produce to markets and ultimately improve their own livelihoods. When food makes its way from the farm right along the supply chain and into people's plates in a way that's effective and fair, that benefits everyone. The World Food Program is the largest humanitarian organization in the world fighting hunger. We have unparalleled experience in building, buying, and distributing food. Every year, we increase the amount of food that we procure locally from small shareholder farmers. We're providing training in post-harvest storage, how to access markets. You know, the aim is to build dynamic food systems which contribute to community-based agricultural growth and strengthening national economies. In Bangladesh alone, the World Food Program is procuring about 8.5 crore per day from small shareholder farmers, or about the equivalent of $1 million US. So our goal is really to try to focus on minimizing the distance of that supply chain and putting the cash directly into small shareholder farmers' pockets. I think we all know that no one government or organization can achieve any of these goals alone. More than ever, there is the need for global solidarity to help people, and especially the most vulnerable, to confront, you know, the crises that we're facing on this planet, the multiple crises, multiple conflicts, the impacts of climate change, and in particular, COVID-19. So thank you very much for asking me to address all of you on World Food Program Day. And that concludes my remarks. Thank you.
থ্যাংক ইউ মিস্টার রিচার্ড রেগান। তিনি বক্তব্য রাখলেন জুম প্ল্যাটফর্মে যুক্ত থেকে। এবারে বক্তব্য রাখবেন সম্মানিত অতিথি মিস্টার রবার্ট ডি সিম্পসন, FAO রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ ইন বাংলাদেশ।
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to recognize our esteemed chairperson, Mr. Mezbul Islam, Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, our esteemed and honored chief guest, Dr. Mohammed Abdul Razak, MP, Honorable Minister of Agriculture, our special guests, Dr. Nazmanara Khanum, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Food, Mr. Nazir Uzzaman, Honorable Ex-Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture. I'm very happy to see you here today. I did not get to say farewell to you on your goodbye yesterday, so I'm happy to see you. Our guest of honor, Dr. Matthew Morrell, Director General of ERIE, Mr. Richard Reagan, Country Director, WFP. I'd like to recognize the wisdom of our esteemed discussants, and also thank Mr. David Dow, Senior Economist, FAO, for a wonderful keynote address. Dr. Bukhtiar, Executive Director of BARC, thank you for your opening comments. Representatives of ministries, government departments, representatives of research institutions, the media, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, again, good morning, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for being here today. Before starting, I'd like to show my respects to the father of the nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, in this centennial year of his birth. But it's also a great pleasure to celebrate World Food Day with all of you on FAO's 75th birthday on October 16th, 1945. I'd like to pay tribute to Her Excellency, the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who graced us with her presence this morning in this morning's session, showing her strong commitment for safe, healthy, and nutritious diets for the people of Bangladesh. I also recognize the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Razak, for his great leadership in organizing yet another spectacular World Food Day celebration. And I say this without any hesitation. Bangladesh has the strongest and most exciting World Food Day event, I think, of all the countries around the world. I'd like to also congratulate you for your strong, yes. I'd like to congratulate you for your strong COVID response, has been discussed extensively today. In the spirit of celebration, we joined some 150 other countries today to mark World Food Day. This year's theme is Grow, Nourish, Sustain Together. And I'd like to stress the word together. In his speech in the UN General Assembly in 1974, the father of the nation delivered what is regarded as a powerful and forward-looking speech. He addressed many issues, including a call to eliminate hunger, poverty, and unemployment, to ensure food security, equitable sharing of resources and technology, and urging international cooperation and human solidarity. In these unprecedented times of COVID-19, which pose a significant threat to food security, agricultural livelihoods, and our global solidarity, these words echo as true and necessary today as they did in 1974. In the spirit of World Food Day, all over the world, we have been recognizing food heroes. The first and greatest food hero of Bangladesh is certainly the father of the nation. I would like to also recognize all of the modern-day food heroes, millions of ordinary people, the farmers, laborers, transporters, food processors, all of our marketeers, and of course, all of our mothers at home that put the food on the table, who despite all of the challenges of 2020, including COVID, Cyclone Amphan, the worst flooding in decades, have worked without rest on the front lines to ensure that food makes its way from the farm to our tables. We applaud all of our food heroes today. I'd also take an opportunity to applaud and congratulate one of our international food heroes. So this congratulation goes out to everybody at WFP, one of our sister organizations, and to Richard Reagan. Congratulations on being Nobel laureate. You are a very classy international food hero. Thank you. Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, World Food Day is also about reflection and raising awareness. Global food systems and food security continue to be strained by many factors, including pests, poverty, and the impacts of climate change. According to the latest FAO reports on the state of food security and nutrition, globally in 2019, nearly 1 in 10 people were still food insecure. These are unacceptable figures in the modern age of technology, transportation, and humanitarian assistance. COVID-19 could push an additional 130 million people worldwide into chronic hunger by the end of 2020. If we want to avoid what could be the worst food crisis in recent decades, a business-as-usual approach will not suffice. We must make a strategic and systematic shift in how we produce and distribute food on the planet if we are to ensure safe, nutritious food to promote healthy and active lives for everyone, every day. We need better data for better decision making. Second, we must dramatically increase the synergy of our collective actions. I think this was recognized through intergovernmental collaboration, public-private sector collaboration, and certainly collaboration amongst our respective organizations. And third, we must accelerate innovation and technology approaches. As mentioned earlier, many of the discussions on the impacts of COVID-19 under the support and guise of the LCG Working Group on Agriculture, Food Security, and Rural Development, FAO in collaboration with IFAD, WFP, IRRI, IFPRI, CIMMYT, and World Fish have completed an assessment of COVID impacts on agriculture in Bangladesh. This has been distributed to a few of you, but we also have copies outside the door if you'd like to pick one up. This report is a comprehensive description of impacts and recommendations how to further ensure resilience in the agriculture sector. So I invite you to ensure that you pick one out before leaving. Before I conclude, I'd like to read out a message from the FAO Director General, Kyu Dong-u. He said, and I quote, "Over the 75 years that FAO has been in existence, we have grown, nourished, and sustained the gifts of our soils, the livelihoods of our people, the legacy of our planet. Today begins the next quarter century of FAO's story, a time to look back at our successes, but also to measure the distance left to travel, and more importantly, to look forward to the new era. It is with these words that FAO marches forward, hand in hand with the government of Bangladesh and our other member partnerships, communities, and member countries, to work towards solidarity and to make sure that the nutritional and food security aspirations of the father of the nation are as real today as they were in 1974. I wish you all a wonderful World Food Day. Grow, nourish, sustain together. And thank you to our chairperson, chief guests, special guests, and guests of honor. Donabad.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robert D. Simpson, APO representative in Bangladesh, for your valuable comments. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate World Food Program for winning Nobel Peace in this year. And please have a big applause for their great success. And I believe, Mr. Ragan, you can hear us and congratulate you also, and for making a very valuable comments in this World Food Day. And again, thank you for joining with us. Distinguished guests, now would like to request Dr. Matthew Morel, Director General, International Rice Research Institute, who is with us in a Zoom platform, and he will deliver his speech through Zoom platform.
এবারে বক্তব্য রাখছেন ডক্টর মেথু মডেল, মহাপরিচালক ইরি। তিনি যুক্ত হবেন জুম প্ল্যাটফর্ম থেকে।
Thank you very much, and I hope you can hear me okay. But firstly, I'd like to acknowledge our chairperson, Mohammed Misabul Islam, the Honourable Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, our chief guest, Dr. Mohammed Razak, Honourable Minister of Agriculture, special guests, Dr. Matamat Nazmarama Khanum, the Honourable Secretary, Minister of Food, and Mr. Ranak Mahmood, Honourable Secretary, Minister of Fisheries and Livestock. And to guests of honour, Mr. Robert Simpson, FAO representative in Bangladesh. And I'd also like to acknowledge Mr. Mohammed Nazaruzaman, the ex-Agriculture Secretary, and it's great to see you. Sorry not to be able to farewell you in person. And to our other distinguished participants, good afternoon. It really is a great pleasure and honour to participate in this World Food Day program organised by the Ministry of Agriculture and FAO in Bangladesh. Thank you very much for inviting me to this important event. As we've heard, ladies and gentlemen, this year's World Food Day is a very special day for all of us. We are all, I'm sure, very heartened by the recognition that's been given to the issues of food and food security through the awarding of the Nobel Peace Prize to the World Food Programme for its work on global food security. And I'd comment also that the Nobel Prize in Chemistry is awarded for gene editing science, which we believe has a very strong relevance and important to technological innovation in agriculture. So these awards prove the importance of our work for the benefit of humanity. We also have seen, perhaps in a less directly positive way, but the COVID-19 pandemic has really reinforced the importance of agriculture, that we can't rely on food security, that we must rethink the way in which our food systems work. And so while we, of course, are sorrowed and empathise with the millions of people who've lost their livelihoods and are suffering in poverty and hunger, let us also take this opportunity to rethink the way that we grow, supply, and use food for the benefit of the future generations. For Bangladesh, this year is special because the country, of course, is celebrating the 100th birthday anniversary of its founding leader, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. I know very well that your founding father had a very strong vision and a high priority for agricultural development, especially the production of rice, so that every citizen has enough to eat. And to do this, Bangladesh established several research centres, including the Bangladesh Rice Research Institute in the 1970s. And this year, BIRI is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and we join in celebrating that magnificent achievement. So on behalf of BIRI, congratulations to BIRI, one of our most important partners. Also this year, IRI is celebrating its 60th anniversary, and IRI has had a strong and historical partnership with the government of Bangladesh for over half a century. In fact, Bangladesh is the first country where IRI started its outreach program outside of the Philippines. And IRI released its popular IR8 variety in Bangladesh in 1967. We take this moment to celebrate the extraordinary achievement of Bangladesh in becoming self-sufficient in a number of commodities, but of course, for us, particularly in rice. This is a testimony to the will, the achievements, the research strength, and the creativity of your people. At IRI, we're very proud to have been partners on this journey with you. Rice production increased more than 3.5 times in the past 5 decades. The country is now one of the largest rice producers in the world, and it has the highest average yield in South Asia. Bangladesh has transformed from a food deficit to a food surplus country, a shining example of a success story in reducing poverty and hunger through agricultural development. The past successes in agriculture are the outcomes of advanced science, innovation, and wise policies. While we've had huge successes in the past, though, there are many challenges still emerging. Hence, there is no reason to be complacent. Key future challenges in agriculture keep pace with the food needs of a growing population, the rising scarcity and competition for land and water, shortage of agricultural labour, climate change risks, and other factors. So Bangladesh and a number of Asian countries have achieved food security, but the challenge remains to improve nutritional security. Agricultural development is also critical to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, especially SDG 1 around poverty and SDG 2 around hunger. We need to use modern science, technology, and innovation to address the challenges in the agri-food system. Some examples from our work and where we see key innovations for the future. So the continued use of superior inbred and hybrid rice varieties that can contribute to increased food production and security. So in Bangladesh, we're delighted to work with BIRI, with BINA, with BARC, with a number of other players, and now with the private sector, with ACI and other groups to develop improved breeding capacity for the country. We see the importance of the application of precision agriculture to improve the use of scarce land and water much more efficiently. We've heard today already about the importance of mechanisation to address labour shortages, to increase productivity, to reduce the drudgery that women have faced. We see the importance of digital tools to attract youth and to boost incomes, to connect farmers to vital information around climate, around markets. We see the importance of stress-tolerant varieties that can bring resilience in the face of the impacts of climate change. And of course, we see the importance of healthier rice, biofortified with essential micronutrients to improve nutrition. But we also understand and support the need for diversification of agriculture to improve nutrition, livelihoods, and sustainability. In support of that aim, we see a very important place for rice research, because rice is the linchpin of the agri-food system, and through modifications in the way rice is produced, the opportunity is created to improve rotations, to include more diverse crops, to feed animals, and to produce the fish and other products that bring nutritional diversification. As has been mentioned, no one institution can meet this challenge. So we need global partnerships of multiple stakeholders, from governments, national research and extension agencies, the private sector, across the CGIAR and other development partners to enhance the productivity, profitability, sustainability and resilience of our agri-food systems to achieve SDG 2 in particular. Respected participants, for 60 years, IRRI has worked with our partners who share our goals, and of course, as I've mentioned, very closely here in Bangladesh, to increase rice production, avoid famine, lifting millions of people out of poverty and hunger. And in these times of adversity and uncertainty, collaboration, partnership, and collective action is now more important than ever to surmount the new challenges before us. We pledge our commitment and support to the government of Bangladesh in their goal to ensure food and nutritional security and to bring about food system transformation. Thank you for the invitation to join you today. I'm very sorry I can't be there with you in person, and I'd love to be able to visit you and see the wonderful work that you're doing again in the near future. Thank you.
ধন্যবাদ ডক্টর মেথু মরেল, মহাপরিচালক ইরি। এ পর্যায়ে বিশেষ অতিথিবৃন্দের বক্তৃতা। প্রথমেই বিশেষ অতিথি হিসেবে বক্তব্য রাখবেন ডক্টর মোসাম্মদ নাজমান আরা খানম, সচিব, খাদ্য মন্ত্রণালয়।
Now I would like to request our special guest, Dr. Mosammad Nazman Ara Khanum, Secretary, Minister of Food, for her space.
Respected Chair, Mr. Misbahul Islam, Secretary, Ministry of Food, Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. M. Abdul Razzaq, MP, Honorable Minister, Ministry of Agriculture, respected special guest, Mr. M.D. Nasiruzzaman, former Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, guest of honor, Mr. Robert D. Simpson, FAO representative in Bangladesh, respected keynote speakers, Mr. David Doe, Regional Strategy and Policy Advisor and Senior Economist, FAO Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific, respected and distinguished guests, discussants, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I am delighted to address this audience at the occasion of World Food Day 2020. I would like to convey my heartfelt thanks to the keynote speaker for his valuable presentation, and also extend my thanks to other respected distinguished discussants for their important discussion. In this year, the theme of the World Food Day is Grow, Nourish, Sustain Together. Our actions are our future. In recent decades, the world has made significant progress. Sorry. মিনিট হারাই গেছে এটা আমি তো দেখে পড়তেছিলাম এটা। হ্যাঁ, ওকে ওকে, সরি In this year, the theme of the World Food Day is Grow, Nourish, Sustain Together. Our actions are our future. In recent decades, the world has made significant progress in improving agricultural productivity. Although we now produce more than enough food to feed everyone, our food system are out of balance. Hunger, obesity, environmental degradation, loss of agrobiological diversity, food loss and waste, and a lack of security for food chain workers are only some of the issues that underline this imbalance. As countries begin to develop and implement COVID-19 recovery plans, it is an opportunity to adopt innovative solutions based on scientific evidence so they can build back better and more resistant to shocks. World Food Day is calling for global solidarity to help all populations, and especially the most vulnerable, to recover from the crisis and to make food systems more resilient and robust so they can withstand increasing volatility and climate shocks, deliver affordable and sustainable healthy diets for all, and decent livelihood for food system workers. This will require improved social protection schemes and now the new opportunities offered through digitalization and e-commerce, but also more sustainable agricultural practices that preserve the earth's natural resources. our health and the climate. I would like to share a few considerations of our national food and nutrition security and its key role in supporting the future of our people. We are committed to achieve improved food and nutrition security for all by making food systems nutrition sensitive, sustainable, which is the CIP2, that is Country Investment Plan 2 goal, even more now in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. The monitoring report 2020 on country investment plan, that is to ensure nutrition sensitive food system, is also published by Ministry of Food and is available on FPMU website. I invite you to check and download this flagship publication of the Ministry of Food and its summary. The monitoring report 20 looks systematically into the status of food and nutrition in Bangladesh. This is a must-read publication for any expert, practitioners, researchers, and scientists, students interested in an up-to-date food and nutrition situation in Bangladesh. The monitoring reports provide a good benchmark for the food and nutrition policy landscape and related implementation, which was crucial along with several rounds of field and stakeholders consultation in producing the National Food and Nutrition Security Policy 2020, which has been approved by the Cabinet in August 2020 and its plan of action is being drafted. The monitoring report as of 13th June 2019 shows a persistent progress over the reporting period in all the main nutrition and hunger related indicators. To make sure that this progress translates into concrete results, 19.2 billion US$ have been mobilized over the period 1st July 2016 to 13th June 2020, which represents the CIP2 cumulative budget. Out of this, 3.5 billion US$ constitutes the gap yet to be financed and which is in the government and development partners pipeline. The prevalence of undernourishment for 2017 to 2019 stands at 13%, which makes the 10% target by 2030. Moderate and severe food insecurity indicators have registered some improvements over the reporting period and did child undernutrition. However, these positive achievements may be undermined by the economic slowdown. Sorry, Barbara Harayase. Sorry, Barbara Harayase. The prevalence, however, this positive achievement may undermined by the economic slowdown triggered by COVID-19 pandemic. However, the situation is closely monitored to track and minimize the setback of progress made so far. Agriculture growth performed well recently, mainly due to fishery and forestry sector and still characterized by the predominance of rice production covering a third of total food value added. The productivity in agriculture has been growing steadily. However, it will be becoming increasingly challenging to obtain easy gains in productivity. Therefore, in order to sustain further long-term increases, it is essential to continue investing in climate-smart investments and preserving the natural resources of Bangladesh, such as our unique mangrove forest. The ongoing diversification process is still slow and needs to accelerate to provide more diverse nutritious food to the people of Bangladesh and to improve and diversify the livelihood of farmers. To this end, it is essential to continue supporting farmers to access market information, financing data, and technology to optimize agricultural practices. Farmers still receive low level of profits, so on-farm value addition activities should be incentivized, as well as farmers organizations and farmers centers to improve farmers' bargaining power along the value chain. In this context, the preserve farmers' revenues and consumer safety, investing in conservation of nutrients during post-harvest storage, transformation and transportation and distribution is essential, as it helps to reduce price volatility, post-harvest loss, and food and nutrition loss. The various initiatives to support investment in temperature-controlled warehouse and logistics need to be continued. In this recent pandemic, has led to sharp increase in poverty. Sorry, bar chole jay keno. The recent pandemic has led to sharp increase in poverty both vertically and horizontally, this situation calls for a well-financed and implemented safety net and social protection systems to support people's food and nutrition security and their breaking out of poverty cycle. Mainstreaming nutrition-sensitive interventions could not only make our country more food secure and better nourished, but also more resilient to this pandemic and other health-related threats. The Ministry of Food is committed to partner with the core food and nutrition security ministries, the private sector, and the development partners to Minister of Food is committed to partner with the core food and nutrition ministries, the private sectors, and the development partners to define and support adequate organizational strategies and initiatives. We look forward more technical supports from our development partners in this regard. In conclusion, I would like to thank all our development partners for their active and continuous cooperation. I hope the inspiring motto of World Food Day 2020 will constantly guide us in our policy actions and interventions for years to come, not only in Bangladesh, but also in South Asia and Southeastern Asia in collaborative efforts towards a better future. Thank you all. May Bangladesh live long. Thank you.
বিশেষ অতিথি হিসেবে এখন বক্তব্য রাখবেন সদ্য বিদায়ী কৃষি সচিব জনাব মোহাম্মদ নাসিরুজ্জামান।
Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to request our respected special guest, Mr. Nasiruzzaman, immediate past Secretary, Minister of Agriculture, for his valuable speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected Chair, Mr. Misbahul Islam, Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Honorable Chief Guest, great freedom fighter, Dr. Muhammad Abdul Razzaq MP, Honorable Minister, Ministry of Agriculture, dear special guest, Dr. Nazmonara Khanum, Secretary, Ministry of Food, Matthew Morel, Director General IRI, my friend Robert Simpson, Mr. Bokhtiar, and the dear discussant, the presentation. Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon. Actually, in our country, food security is synonymous to rice security. when we was prepared this program, I asked our officials to make some poster that can present our three ministry: Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Food, and Ministry of Fishery and Livestock. Because in great sense, agriculture means Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Food, and Ministry of Livestock and Fishery. They make a poster. You see that poster actually covered the full poster by rice. And this poster is significant that in our country, rice is synonymous to food security. Food security means availability of food and, of course, nutritious food, access to food, and sustainability of food system. In our country, we have enough rice. Now we grow near about 3.78 crore rice, metric ton rice in our country, which is distributed by Food Ministry. We grow, our egg production is enough. Normally, the average consumption of egg in the whole world 104. Now, our production is also 104 average. Our milk, our meat, our fish is now available in our country. So, in our country, food availability is there, but access to food is the problem. In the presentation, impact of COVID-19 on Asian food system and agricultural transformation, David Doe present an excellent paper, and it has explained the food transformation in COVID situation in Bangladesh and the Asia. But in Bangladesh, the scenario is quite slight different from the other country. Our discussion already said that because it is the intervention from the government side. We, from the government side, borrow harvested successfully. I again said, in Bangladesh, rice is synonymous to food security. Our agriculture input was first when Corona started, then our supply of agricultural input was disrupted. But in few times, with the visionary leadership of our Prime Minister and the guidance of our Minister, Dr. Abdul Razzaq, we can overcome this interruption. We supplied agricultural inputs to the farmers and make available laborers and machineries for the farmers and at the Corona period. In Corona period, one of the rice, we successfully cultivated our rice, though actually in our country, not only Corona, Amphan and 5-time flood affected our farmers. Though we successfully planted our almond and we are waiting for our almond rice. So, first time when we disrupted the supply chain,
or market chain, there was a great problem for our farmers, or the farmers and also the consumers. At that time, the FAO led some organization make a call center. When I sitting here, I saw the lady named Salma. Salma was a call center lady. I talked with Salma and asked, Salma, what are you doing? Salma said that the grower come to my center with a van with some products of the farmers from different sides, and some van who are selling these vegetables, agricultural products to our consumers from door to door. Just this way, we continue our supply chain management. Not only that, in Corona period, there were some private sector who make online marketing. Even our Department of Marketing make a system for online marketing. Thus, we tried our best to minimize the market system or the supply chain system. At that time, our slogan was, a new slogan we made, let us stand by the side of the farmers, let us stand with the farmers. This slogan are followed by our all agricultural extension people and our scientists, and they stand by the side of the farmers, they stand with the farmers. For this, the COVID-19 effect in Asian countries and in Bangladesh are not the same. At that time, in the question of nutritious food, I said that egg, meat and fish now are available in the Bangladesh market. But question is the access to food. We, in Bangladesh, in Corona season, our poor people lost their buying capacity. So, they can't buy egg, milk or vegetables. For this, we want to make sure that without buying, they can get some food like rice, potato and some vegetables. From the government side and the private side. From government side, our food ministry distribute in our safety net program a lot of food to the poor people. Even our private sector distribute a lot of rice and potato to the poor people. But we face price hike in this Corona situation because of panic buying. Our people was panicked. This Corona will spread and we cannot move to the market, or we cannot go to the market at the lockdown time. So, our people in panic buying, they stock rice and other commodities in their house. So, the price of rice, price of potato and price of other things is increased. And when hit the flood, our vegetables price is high because this area is potential area for growing vegetables in our country. We think that within a month we can cover this vegetable price hike. In our country, the corona affected market system is still going up. Normally, even normally, the market is not under the control of producers and not the control of the consumers. So, we have to make or develop a system that we have to control over the market by the producer or agricultural producer or the farmers. If we can control over the market by our farmers, then we can make sure that our price of agricultural products is this and this agricultural product is this. We can define this. Lastly, I conclude with our great leader, father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Let us together create a world that can eradicate poverty, hunger, war, and human sufferings, and achieve global peace and security for the well-being of the humanity. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.
সুধী মণ্ডলী, বিশ্ব খাদ্য দিবস উপলক্ষে কৃষি মন্ত্রণালয় এবং জাতিসংঘের খাদ্য ও কৃষি সংস্থা বাংলাদেশ আয়োজিত আন্তর্জাতিক সেমিনারের কারিগরি সেশনের এ পর্যায়ে বক্তৃতা করবেন আজকের অনুষ্ঠানের প্রধান অতিথি এবং গণপ্রজাতন্ত্রী বাংলাদেশ সরকারের মাননীয় কৃষিমন্ত্রী বীর মুক্তিযোদ্ধা ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ আব্দুর রাজ্জাক এমপি।
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we will hear from our Honorable Chief Guest. Now I would like to request our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Mohammad Abdul Razak MP, Honorable Minister, Minister of Agriculture, People's Republic of Bangladesh for his valuable speech.
World Food Good afternoon to everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a long day. You have been probably tired listening many speakers. I hope you have patience to listen chief guest and the minister. I would appreciate it if you endure the pain for listening me. But I'll try to as brief as possible. Honorable Chairman, newly joining Secretary, Mr. Misbah Haq, Ms. Mazhar Islam. Then we have keynote speaker, Mr. Dr. David Dew, Senior Economist of FAO. We have with us, join us from ED headquarters, Dr. Matthew Morrell, Director General ED. Panel discussion, all special guests, distinguished participants, and those who join from different areas and from 46 countries, FAO office in 46 countries. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed it's a great pleasure for me to join this international technical session on World Food Day entitled Impact of COVID-19 on Asian Food System and Agricultural Transformation. I think topic is very relevant to present situation amid COVID-19 pandemic. I understand keynote speaker, he covered most of the important points. He raised some issues. At the beginning, he tried to explain the global food situation. Being agriculture minister, I feel very happy that world cereal production reserve is quite good, stock is very good. It seems there is no chance of shortage or deficit or any fluctuation of price at the global level, variability of the price at global level. He forecast that we will have good stock even in 2021. For Bangladesh, it's a good news. We know Bangladesh is extremely vulnerable to natural disasters like recurrent flood, storm, cyclone, drought, and so on. With the rise of temperature, with climate change, as we have been reported that frequency and intensity of disaster will increase. So our agriculture, production and productivity, always under risk, always uncertain. We have to face market uncertainty of the global level, volatility of the prices at the global level. So I would say it's a good prediction. I hope it will sustain, and we will have also favorable weather. If weather, agroclimatic condition is favorable, we are surplus, even we can export many commodities. With slightest reduction in yield, we have to go to the international market. He pointed out a few other points and raised some few issues. On that, Professor Sattar Mandal covered most of them, and he gave his observation and comment, and he tried to explain some of them. So I don't go in detail to that. Aging farm problem. I don't think it's still an aging problem in Bangladesh. We had adequate manpower surplus, although there is some deficit during peak of the season, like during transplantation or during harvesting. Price of labor goes up and cost of production or income of the farmers goes down. They cannot make profit. However, many developed countries like Japan, Western countries, they suffer from labor shortages. But they have transformed their agriculture to mechanized agriculture, automatized. And these days they are using ICT, information technologies. So they have reduced the use of human labor. Feminization of agriculture. Women has always problem, always has problem. They don't, when they individually run a farm, like widow or single mother, they do not have access to inputs or credit, and also they are sidelined in the society. So they face problem, but it's not that significant in Bangladesh, because in our country, family all together, they manage their farm, starting from field activities, production, to storage for their storing and distribution. We know that our women, they help in threshing, drying, then storing. Male farmers, they go out in the field and they do farming activities out in the field. Declining farm size. Farm size is declining, as Sattar Mandal indicated, that productivity is not less. Sometimes because of intensive cultivation, it is reversed in Bangladesh, not like Western country. In Bangladesh, when farm size is smaller, it reduced. Our farmers, they go for intensive cultivation. They take more care. They use their inputs very carefully. So they don't like to lose. And they like to ensure their food security from their small sizes. Shrinking rural population in farming. Yes, I do agree that rural population is declining. People are moving to urban areas for their employment in manufacturing sector, or some of them are moving to abroad. They go for work in other countries, or expatriate. Well, farmers in Bangladesh these days are not totally dependent on farm income. Sometimes their family members or children, they have some job in garments or other industries or in service sector, hospital, education or construction work. And some of them go to abroad for job. Government policy to promote dynamic and competitive agriculture. That's important for me. Food and agriculture declared essential service, a collaboration between public and private sectors. These days we have been encouraging collaboration between public and private sector. Professor Sattar Mandal again gave two examples. One was on that this year some service provider with combined harvester. I know one few service provider, they went from Rangpur to Netrakona or Sunamganj with their combined. I helped them to hire a vehicle so that it can carry the combined harvester. Usually they won't think of it, that they will go to Sunamganj or Netrakona all the way from Rangpur. And during that time, it was peak of season of harvesting in Howrah area, low-lying area. They are under serious threat that there might be flash flood and whole crop may be damaged. It happened earlier, it occurred earlier, so it can repeat. Starting from head of the government, Honorable Prime Minister, myself, my ministry, all of us were very concerned. And we made concerted effort to mobilize labor, to mobilize machineries, so that we can take home our paddy or rice timely before it gets damaged totally. And that was a good example of private and public collaboration. How government collaboration and support, that usually in the rural area and those who are entrepreneurs, they don't have adequate fund to buy a machine, to buy a combined harvester. It's quite costly. government gave 50 to 70% subsidy. For our area, coastal area, it's 70%. So it's the public and private cooperation, collaboration. They won't be able to buy a combine harvester and provide service. In general, farmers, they cannot afford to buy a combine harvester. Sometimes some machines are available at cheap price, very cheaper, but they don't function well in the market. They get sometimes cheated. So our ministry decided that we will buy high quality machines which has reputation, which has people has trust on it, and our engineer, our technical people, they saw the specification, they set the standard, if they maintain that company or manufacturer, then we have recommended that if you buy, for example, Myanmar machine, we will give support, we will give incentive. So that was a collaboration, public-private. We also give incentive in fertilizer, we give incentive for electricity. This year we gave intensity for irrigation. We gave 25, BD-2 gave 25% discount for seeds, high quality seeds. So keeping in view, considering the adverse impact of COVID-19, in different form, we tried to provide support to the farmers so that they can keep up with their effort. They can sustain the productivity. At the beginning, there was a serious problem in marketing. For example, vegetables, tomatoes. You saw in the television, in the media, electronic and print media, that people farmers are throwing away their tomatoes, their watermelon, the other perishable agricultural commodities. But at one stage, government made a decision that all transport which are under restriction for movement are given exemption by the government, that if a vehicle carry agricultural commodities, it will not be restricted. They are exempted from restriction. Then situation started to improve. Later on, I came to know from many farmers, they are getting good price for selling their watermelon, their tomatoes. They could sell it. And we restored the supply chains. We had another concern, that if we will be able to sell, main fruit season was coming. That's mango, lychee, jackfruit, pineapple, and so on. We call Madhumash, honey month. That's month for fruits in Bangladesh. We are seriously concerned. We organized a virtual meeting. We engaged more than 90 people. Orchard owner, mango orchard owners, lychee orchard owners, then wholesale market in Kaurun Bazar or Shampur or Chittagong, again in growing area, producing area, Chapai Nawabganj, Nauga. And we consulted how we can help them. Many suggestions came. All ministers, parliament members, deputy commissioners, superintendent of police, they are also engaged in that discussion. We made a long discussion. Everybody came up with their suggestions, their recommendations. We took those into consideration and took action. We arranged a linkage, a connection between producer, between farmers, between those who are in between, middlemen, and also end user. And that helped a lot. In selling pineapple, it's grown in my constituency, Madhupur, then lychee, then mango. Everybody said that they got ever best price for those commodities. And Corona or COVID-19 could not hurt them much. They didn't incur any loss. So that's a good example. So government policy is to support farmers so that doing farming, they increase productivity, raise production, and make profit, make income. That would help overall economic growth. I know BD-2 is economist. That's the policy of present government. Present government running this country. We have got assumed responsibility to govern this country for 3 tenures. In our first tenure, we became almost self-sufficient in grain, food grain, and we place to the people, as envisaged in our election manifesto and vision document 2021, that we will achieve self-sufficiency in food by 2015. We will be achieving all the MDG goal, latest by 2017. And we will bring down poverty to half. It was about 58% or more than 50% in 1990-91. That's the base year of MDG. We are supposed to bring down to 28%. I am happy to note that. And everybody, all of us, we know that by 2015, we brought down our poverty to 24%. It stands now at 20%. It is declining. And due to COVID, I don't think we have included much people to poverty, add to poverty. If it is calculated by the consumption of calorie, that's 2100 calorie you have to consume a day, then you are above poverty. And I strongly believe we gave adequate food to the people through different varieties of social safety net program. Food free of cost, food at subsidized price, food under different program like Food for Works. Then many people, at the clarion call of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, she created such emotion that it is the time we have to stand beside the poor people, vulnerable people, so that they don't go to bed hungry, so that they don't starve. And it made a tremendous impact among people. It touched the heart. It stirred people. And even middle class, lower middle class people, whatever they have, with that they bought some rice, some potatoes, some pulses, and distributed among the neighbors, among people back in their village area. So, government always, present government, it's our third term, as I said, third tenure. We have been always serious to ensure food safety for all, food security for all the peoples, for every day. Even 10 years ago, we know Every year in northwest part of the country, area who is devoured by river, flood, though in those areas, people would suffer from starvation, suffer from hunger. We call monga, semi-famine condition. Every day in the month of October, you would see in the newspaper or electronic media that many people are suffering from hunger. I can claim as a minister, in 10, 12 years, there was no single report in electronic media or print media that a single person went hungry. They suffered from starvation. At least there is the news, but I know maybe there may be some people. Even there are people in Chicago City or New York City that they go hungry. I was in USA, I saw before Christmas, USA government would distribute food. And I saw big queue in Chicago, big queue in New York in the television. But what kind of food safety, what kind of food program we do have? That's important. Our Honorable Prime Minister, we promised, we pledged to the nation that we have 5 priority program. And in 2009 or 2008, in our election manifesto, we noted that we'll bring down the price of food and other essential commodities. Then we'll give electricity to all houses. We'll provide electricity. Then good governance, 5 priority area. Number 1 was food security. And we have been trying our best to sustain it. Prime Minister gave another clarion call that not a single inch of land should remain fallow, should remain uncultivated. All arable land, all cultivable land should come under cultivation. And Agriculture Ministry took it religiously, piously. We made all-out effort so that we can bring all the lands under cultivation. As I said, house cultivation, it used to be 11 lakh hectare. We raised 200,000 hectares. We have increased. Usually production was 3 million ton. We have raised it to 3.5 million tons of house. That was in response to call from the Honorable Prime Minister. And that was the urge of the Prime Minister. And we tried to comply with that. Promote digital agriculture. Again, in 2008, we said we will make Bangladesh digital Bangladesh. Many people criticized. There are many critics. Our civil societies, our media, our many scholars and they criticize how come Bangladesh will be digitalized. But you know, it's the reality now. It's reality. As I said, we connected for improving marketing of their commodities through a virtual discussion, through virtual connection. In many ways, our scientists, our farmers, our traders who deal with commodities, they are using ICT. And we are seriously thinking to digitalize our many systems, giving recommendation for fertilizer, giving recommendation for handling any problem in particular area, and so on. provision of limited tax incentive subsidies, preferable to giving machines to free as often happens. I humbly differ with David Dew, Dr. David. In Bangladesh, our Honorable Prime Minister, our policy maker, those who are close policy maker, our close policy makers, we never say that subsidy. We say we give incentive. We invest in our agriculture. That's our policy. And we are giving it. We give in inputs, fertilizer. We give in irrigation. We give in electricity, power. In all agricultural input we give, we invest. And from that investment we are getting return. It is paying us off. It is paying us off. In 2017, there was a flash flood in our area. We had to import rice. In last 11, 12 years, we didn't import rice. So we have been saving our valuable foreign exchange, which earn our boys, our people. They work in Middle East, in scorching sunshine. So we save our foreign exchange and we become self-sufficient in food. And the centenary birthday of our founding father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. For that, we had a plan that we'll celebrate Food Day all over the country, at union level, at district level, and Upazila level, at all levels. Anyway, we could not do that, but we have all sincerity. I thank again FAO in Bangladesh, FAO headquarters. Today, also I thank Dr. Matthew Morel. He joined us from Philippines, and many FAO representative officials from different countries. It's my great pleasure. Before I conclude, I like to assure you, you came up, panel discussion, keynote speaker, they came up number of suggestions, recommendations. They raised many issues and points. I took note of them, and my people, my ministry has taken note of them. In future, in formulating our strategy, policy, and program, I'll take into consideration those, and we will be careful so that we can get adequate fund, adequate support to implement those programs. But one point I have, all of us in all departments, not only in my ministry, all concerned ministry, livestock, fisheries, and food, let us have target that we will be producing such ton of summer tomato, certain ton or amount of onion, and with a time frame in the next 3 years. That's a matrix we will prepare. We will set a goal so that we can attain that goal. That should be a promise we can take today. That we have to set target and we have to achieve that in next 3 years. What we can achieve? Let us be realistic. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. In an excellent occasion, excellent day for me. A bit long, but I learned a lot. I share your experiences. It will help me to run the ministry, to administer the ministry successfully, and we'll be achieving our goal. Goal is hunger-free, poverty-free, prosperous Bangladesh. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
ধন্যবাদ মাননীয় মন্ত্রী এবং আজকের অনুষ্ঠানের প্রধান অতিথি। আপনার উদ্দীপনামূলক, দিক নির্দেশনামূলক তথ্যবহুল বক্তৃতার জন্য। সুধী মণ্ডলী, আমরা আমাদের আজকের কারিগরি সেশনের শেষ পর্যায়ে এসে পৌঁছেছি। এ পর্যায়ে সভাপতির বক্তৃতা করবেন আজকের কারিগরি সেশনের সভাপতি, গণপ্রজাতন্ত্রী বাংলাদেশ সরকারের কৃষি সচিব জনাব মিসবাহুল ইসলাম।
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Mohammad Abdul Razzaq MP, for your valuable speech. Ladies and gentlemen, now concluding remarks by Mr. Misbahul Islam, Honorable Secretary, Minister of Agriculture.
Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Mohammad Abdul Razzaq MP, Honorable Minister, Ministry of Agriculture, distinguished special guest, Dr. Mosammad Nazmunnara Khanum, Secretary, Ministry of Food, Mr. Nasruzzaman, former Secretary, Agriculture Ministry, distinguished guest of honor, Dr. Matthew Morel, Director General, ERI, Mr. Robert D. Samsung, FAO representative in Bangladesh, respected keynote speaker, Dr. David Dewey, senior economist, FAO, distinguished discussant, Dr. Abdul Sattar Mandal, Emirate Professor, ex-Vice Chancellor, Bangladesh Agriculture University, my beloved and respected teacher. Dr. Mr. Abdul Muid, Director General of DAE, Dr. Nathuram Sarkar, Director General, BLRI, Dr. MD Abdul Razzaq, Executive Chairman, BARC, Dr. Sheikh Mohammad Boktiar, Executive Chairman, BARC, distinguished guest, ladies and gentlemen, FAO representative and divisional and district levels officials. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. At the beginning of my speech, I want to remember with respect our father of nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and Bangamata Sheikh Fazilutun Nesa, and all freedom fighters, those who didn't hesitate to sacrifice their lives to achieve our independence. Our father of nation had dreamed a dream to make this country golden Bangla. Not only he dreamed a dream but also launched a program called Green Revolution for self-sufficiency of food. Now I take the privilege to extend our earnest facilitation in the technical session of the World Food Day 2020. I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to Honorable Minister, Minister of Agriculture, former Secretary Mr. Nasruzzaman, Secretary of Ministry of Food, representative of FAO and other development partners, keynote speaker, senior colleagues from the government of Bangladesh, representative on electronic and print media, and participant by gracing the technical session of the event. Distinguished guest, Government of Bangladesh under the leadership and guidance of our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Ministry of Agriculture is giving a source of effort to ensure food security as well as nutrition for the people of Bangladesh. Here I directly mention that development partners including FAO are playing greater roles with the Ministry of Agriculture to achieve self-sufficiency in food grain. Thank you, keynote speaker, for your deliberate and informative detailed presentation. David rightly point out, due to COVID-19 effect in the world economy, though we are comparatively lucky comparing to other countries of the world, due to our right policy of the government. Now we need complete effort to recover the losses. We should revive our macroeconomic plan. Ladies and gentlemen, we now produce more than enough food to feed everyone. In this year, Bangladesh has promoted the third place from fourth after China and India in terms of paddy production, in spite of the COVID pandemic. Besides, Bangladesh also made a remarkable progress in the producing of fish, fruits and vegetables. We are facing some challenges like flood, cyclone and other disasters every year due to the climate change. But our ministry is always committed to overcome the challenges. During COVID-19, Ministry of Agriculture promptly introduced mechanization of harvesting paddy in Howard and other disaster vulnerable areas in the country, as well as taking initiative for movement of the agricultural work one place to another, abiding by the health measure. District administration and other stakeholders also helped in this process. Dear guests, the World Food Day 2020 is calling for global solidarity to help all population and especially the most vulnerable to recover from the crisis and to make food system more resilient and robust so they can withstand increasing the climate shocks, delivered affordable and balanced diet for all, and decent livelihood for food system worker. This will improve social protection scheme and new opportunity offered through decentralization and e-commerce, but also more sustainable agriculture practices in preserve the earth, natural resources, our health and the climate. Dear valuable participant, grow, nourish, sustain and together. Our action are our future. Countries, the private sector and civil society need to make sure that our food system grow a variety of food to nourish the growing population and sustain the planet together. Ladies and gentlemen, I should say FAO is working with our government closely to improve our food grain production and mitigate these sorts of hunger. After a long journey, at the close of the 35th session of the regional conference, member state agreed unanimously to the proposal of the Bangladesh to host the 36th FAO regional conference for Asia and the Pacific in 2022. This is the first time that member countries has been given the responsibility since it joined in FAO 1973. In future, Ministry of Agriculture is committed to work with FAO to fully mitigate the hunger from our country. I do believe we will turn into a middle income group by 2021 and developed country by 2041, as set goal by our visionary leader, Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, daughter of our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, distinguished scientists and extension worker. In conclusion, we can say today outcome of technical session to address all the challenges in achieving food and nutrition security of Bangladesh are noteworthy. The ministry will link with the all development partner including FAO, the leverage research, innovation, extension and private sector engagement is furthering our mission of sustainable food system and uplift the farming family in resource and capacity to enhance production of safe and nutritious food for the population. Lastly, I am confident that the dream of our father of nation, Golden Bangla, will come into realities soon. Thank you all for your virtual and physical presence, especially thanks to our Honorable Minister to attend and deliver remarkable and policy and activities issues as a chief guest in this seminar. Indeed, I am very grateful to him for giving me the opportunity to take part in this occasion on my first day as the secretary of this ministry. Thank you, former secretary, Mr. Nasirujjaman, and my all other colleagues for hard work and excellent work for successful arrangement of the seminar. Thank you all. Long live Bangladesh.
ধন্যবাদ মাননীয় সভাপতি। এবং এই সাথে শেষ হলো কৃষি মন্ত্রণালয় এবং জাতিসংঘের খাদ্য কৃষি সংস্থা আয়োজিত বিশ্ব খাদ্য দিবস 2020 উপলক্ষে মুজিব শতবর্ষে আন্তর্জাতিক সেমিনার অনুষ্ঠানের। সবাইকে নিয়ে একসাথে বিকশিত হন, শরীরের যত্ন নিন, সুস্থ থাকুন। আমাদের কর্মই আমাদের ভবিষ্যৎ। আপনাদের সকলের মঙ্গল হোক।
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will conclude now with this space, and thanks for joining with us physically and both virtually. Thank you very much.